Hear now the word of the Lord from 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 10 through 15. According to the grace of God given to me, like a skilled master builder, I laid a foundation, and someone else is building on it. Each builder must choose with care how to build on it. For no one can lay any foundation other than the one that has already been laid. That foundation is Jesus Christ. Now, if anyone builds on the foundation with gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, straw, the work of each builder will become visible, for the day will disclose it, because it will be revealed with fire, and the fire will test what sort of work each has done. If what has been built on the foundation survives, the builder will receive a reward. If the work is burned up, the builder will suffer loss. The builder will be saved, but only as through fire. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. What a welcome. Not only a wonderful crowd of people, but lightning from heaven. Surely the Lord is in this place. It is indeed a great honor to be with you this day representing Pittsburgh Presbyterian. My predecessor, Bill Rushop, who I never knew, but I'm told he was 6 feet 4 inches tall, so apparently I fit the bill. He didn't have hair on his head, but other than that, perhaps we have some similarities. He preached 50 years ago on this topic, and I'm invited and privileged to preach on it again. When I was a child, I thought of 50 years ago as something only known to the old and decrepit. Suddenly, 50 years ago seems like yesterday. My dad was a pastor who received a call, and we moved almost exactly 50 years ago today, it's within a month, to a place not far from a place that I see on the front row. Would you stand and show everybody what you've got? This is a Canadian shirt, Roots Whistler. This is north of Vancouver, British Columbia, and that's where my dad received a call, not to Whistler itself, but to a nearby town, to be a minister there. And he had the privilege of inheriting a brand new sanctuary. He didn't have to go through all the trouble to build it, just enjoyed it. And as sanctuaries were built in those days, it looked a lot like this. Very popular design of the time. Felt like a wonderful new start for us as a family, for that church welcoming us, for our place in the community with a brand new place to worship God. And so it is that I have a special sense of connection to this place. It just looks like home. And for those of us who are here, it's probably the only church home that we've known, at least by the name of Crossroads. Maybe there are some people who remember the previous place, but we won't out you on your age today. Holy Scripture urges us in many places to remember the past, the history of God's work that paved the way for where we are today. Sometimes that meant erecting a memorial, such as the rock named Ebenezer. We sing about that in one of our hymns. It's a rock that Samuel erected to mark God's help to Israel in defeating the Philistines. When Samuel dedicated that monument, named it Ebenezer, he said that it signifies this: the Lord has helped us so far. So far. The point of remembering the past is not to think about it wistfully, or even less to try to recreate it, but to remember that wherever we are here because of a place that we came to so far, and we are here so far. The best is yet to come. Our hope looking forward is based on our acknowledgement that so far God has been with us, so far God has helped us, so far God has strengthened us, so far God has not abandoned us. And because of that, we believe that all to be true as we move forward. The name by which God revealed himself to Moses, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, is a Hebrew word meaning essentially to be. When God introduces himself to Moses at the burning bush, he translates it this way. He says, I am. There's no past, no future, only eternal present for God. This is who God is. But for humans, of course, there is a past, a present, and a future. And so we might say God's name is I was, I am, and I always will be. Or more to the point, I was there for you in the past. I am there for you in the present. And I will be there for you in the future. If we want to understand how God is at work among us today, and if we want to strengthen our hope for how God will be at work among us tomorrow, the first thing is to reflect on how God was there for us in the past. We change. Circumstances change. God does not. And so it is that they're going after the power problem, I'm sure. And so it is that God revealed in Jesus Christ is said to be the same yesterday and today and forever. Jesus is the human embodiment of the God who is always with us. I'd like to tell you about Jack. He was one of my favorite members of a congregation that I served years ago. And he and I enjoyed a wonderful friendship, but it took him 5 years before he finally invited me one day to his home to show me something that was very, very special, in fact, sacred to him. It was a precious container, a lockbox, fireproof, that held some of the treasures that he prized most fully. It was a wonderful privilege to look inside someone's treasure chest. And the first thing he showed me from that chest was a church bulletin from 60 years earlier when he had been confirmed in the church. It was written in ancient type. The drawing on the front of the bulletin was a hand drawing. Kind of reminded me a little bit of what I saw this morning in the front of our bulletin a long time ago. But he pointed out with deep, deep satisfaction, look, the worship order is still the same today as it was 60 years ago. That's what he loved about the church. It never changed. I gulped. And I celebrated with him. Constancy meant a lot to Jack, and so it does to us. Yet maintaining the past is something that needs to be accompanied by some other things. We're not simply trying to repeat the same old steps over and over again. So I'd like to suggest that the way that we relate to the past is a 4-step process. First, there is some that needs to be maintained, M. But there's also some need to adapt, A. There is also a need, and this is the hard thing for us sometimes, to discard some things, D. And it's also necessary for us to embrace some things, E. M-A-D-E. Maintain, adapt, discard, embrace. That is how it is that as a church we will have it made, right? M-A-D-E. Now today's worship order replicates as much as we can the liturgy for the dedication of this sanctuary 50 years ago. Same hymns, perhaps, same readings and prayers, same guy in the pulpit, right? Well, same office holder at least. And it is good to bear witness to the continuity between then and now. The God who was there for Crossroads on March 12th 1967, is also here for us today. This is an Ebenezer moment, a time to remember that so far God has helped us. So far God has been with us, directed us, nurtured us, sheltered us. And so it is in that spirit that we look at the texts that are before us today. First, from 2 Chronicles chapter 6. The portion we read is just part of the longer temple dedication story. And in this portion that we read, Solomon prays that God would dwell in this temple, answering the prayers of those who call upon him. Now Solomon acknowledges that no building really can contain Almighty God. In fact, no nation, no planet can properly contain the one who is all in all. Yet he is bold to pray that precisely here there will be a special sense of the presence of the one who fills all in all, so that those who come here and pray to this one will know that they have met this one because their prayers are answered. Solomon's lesson to us here in this temple on Haymaker Road is that we ought to pray that here, in a special way, God's people will encounter God's presence, that their prayers will be answered, that the one who cannot be contained by any created thing will honor this place with a special sense of God's holy presence. That was the prayer of our forebears 50 years ago as they dedicated this place. We can bear witness that here we have met God. And here God will continue to meet the people who gather. We pray in Jesus' name. Now notice that Solomon does not pray that the sanctuary would be full with people. He prays that the sanctuary would be full with God. He doesn't pray that the sanctuary will be well renowned for its people, but that it will be well renowned because of the God that resides in that holy place. Sanctuaries come and go. God never changes. Now here in Pittsburgh we know that first there was the Igloo, and then there was the Consol Energy Center, and now we have the PPG Paints Arena. The place changes. The name changes. But the Penguins are still the draw, right? Once there was Forbes Field, then there was Three Rivers Stadium, and now there's PNC Park. The venue changes, but the Pirates continue to be the reason why people flock or don't to that special place. Good years right now, the place is full. Before this sanctuary was built, the congregation worshipped in other sanctuaries, going back nearly 200 years. What makes this sanctuary special is not the building itself, but the treasure that it holds. You all, our forebears. What should we be focusing on really? The container or the treasure that it contains? If we focus on the treasure, then the focus on the container is first of all about making sure that it holds well the treasure. If the vessel, this building, has cracks, the reason to repair them is not so that the vessel looks good, but so that the treasure will not be lost. I remember well, and some of you do I'm sure as well, the obstacle course that used to be outside called a parking lot. Navigating it carefully was mandatory if you did not want to do serious injury to your automobile. Now, the Church of Jesus doesn't need fresh blacktop to thrive, but it does need to be able to welcome people into its precincts where they can encounter the living God. And when the parking lot becomes a barrier to entering the sanctuary, it's time to fix the parking lot. And I'm so glad you did. I drove in without fear this morning. The treasure we hold in this sanctuary matters more to us than the treasure we hold in our wallets. And so when the time comes to give, I know the parking lot did not cost nothing. It cost a lot. But it was worth it because of the treasure that we hold in this place. The Apostle Paul likens the church of Jesus to several elements of common life. We're familiar with these analogies. Most well known, he likens the church to a body that needs all of its members, that needs them all to stay connected to each other in their diversity if it is to function well. This image crops up more frequently than any other, this body image. Perhaps it's because our greatest temptation is to separate members of the body so that we are not functioning the way that God calls us to function, particularly when we separate from those who are different from us. Because we're different, we compromise the integrity of the body. We all need each other. It's an important analogy, important image. Paul uses also the image of a field to describe the church. One plants in it, another waters, another harvests, another prepares the field for yet the next cycle. No matter where we are on that cycle in the field image, we depend on those who have gone before us to have done their job well, and we're preparing for those who will follow us to be able to enjoy the fruits of our labors. Past, present, future, always interrelated in the life of the church. Sometimes Paul likens the church to a temple. Now when he talks about church, he's not talking about buildings, he's talking about people. But he likens it to a temple, a dwelling place for the glory of God, of which Jesus Christ is the cornerstone. In today's text, from 1 Corinthians chapter 3, the church is compared to an ordinary building rather than to a grand temple. What matters in this image is the building process and materials themselves. Various ones contribute different parts to the structure. If he were talking about this building, Paul might mention that the building requires the collaboration of those who assemble the trusses and those who bring them together with a sturdy framework, and those who lay a foundation on which all that is set, so that this place can withstand the storms that it is sure to encounter. What is required is that the materials are sound and that the collaboration is close. Both the integrity of the materials and the relationship of those who are charged to lead the church are critical in this image of the church. Now, you here are heirs of those who sacrificed much and worked hard for the cause of Christ in this place. One of their grand achievements was the erection of this beautiful edifice as a place where people could gather for generations to learn the way of Christ. You have a rich heritage. But, newsflash, things today aren't just exactly like they were 50 years ago. 50 years ago, most of us didn't even have color televisions. Most of us had no imagination of the technology that we now take for granted. Programs that once drew great crowds no longer break a yawn for people. Oh, it's easy to look back on those days and celebrate their glory and ask, how do we get it back? Short answer, we don't. It was wonderful so far. But there is more to come, and it will be new. If Jesus is to be believed, the best is yet to come for the church. Our future may well look different from our present, just as our present looks different from our past. Times and situations change. None of the New Testament churches upon which our whole worldwide church was founded, none of those churches yet exist. The buildings are gone. This building will not exist forever. But just as those churches from the New Testament became the seedbed for that which went far beyond them, so this place is a seedbed for that which goes far beyond us in space and in time. Maybe in 50 years, our children will gather here in this place and celebrate this building's centennial and talk about us the way that we're talking about those who preceded us 50 years ago. But maybe there will be a new place for them. We don't know. But remember this. As important as this container may be, and it is, as lovely as it may be, and it is, the most important thing is the treasure it holds, not the container itself. So whatever it is that our future may be, we are called to be good stewards in the present of what our container has handed to us from the past. May we find grace to hold well the treasure that has been entrusted to us, so that it may be multiplied for future generations. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.